My husband is a werewolf, and he's trying to kill me. A full werewolf romance audiobook. My name is Isabella Gabriel. 48 hours ago, I became Isabella Clifford. I married the man of my dreams in a ceremony so perfect it could have been ripped from a fairy tale. White roses everywhere, champagne flowing like water, and promise, my promise, looking at me like I was the only woman in the world. He whispered his vows with tears in his eyes, promised to love me until death do us part. I should have paid more attention to that last part, because right now at 11:23 p.m. on what should be the happiest week of my life, I'm hiding in a panic room my husband built into our house. And he's outside the door, not to comfort me, not to protect me, he's hunting me. My husband is a werewolf, and according to some ancient law I didn't know existed until 2 hours ago, I have to die. The worst part, the part that makes this a special kind of hell, is that I can hear him. Not just the wolf, the scraping of claws against the reinforced door, the low growls that vibrate through the walls. I can hear him. Promise. My husband, fighting for control, whispering my name between snarls, begging me to forgive him for what he's about to do. Hey there, beautiful souls. If you're new to this channel, welcome to a story that's going to shatter everything you thought you knew about love, monsters, and the thin line between protection and predation. I'm talking about marriage vows that means something completely different when your husband transforms into a 7-foot beast every full moon. I'm talking about discovering that the man you pledged your life to has been alive for 3 centuries, and you might not be the first woman to wear his ring. This is Isabella's story, and she's recording it in real time because she doesn't know if she'll survive until dawn. Every comment, every share, means her story reaches someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's you, maybe you've loved someone who scared you, maybe you've ignored red flags because the good moments felt so good. Or maybe you just need a story that'll keep you up tonight, heart racing, wondering how the hell this ends. We release these deep dive stories regularly because I know you need the escape, the thrill, the reminder that your life, however complicated, probably isn't this complicated. If you're settling in for this journey, get comfortable. Grab whatever gets you through intense stories, tea, wine, your cat, whatever. And here's the thing. If this story grabs you in the first few minutes, if you're already wondering how Isabella got here, and whether she gets out alive, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Tap the bell so you never miss when we drop these tales. Because trust me, if you're vibing with this one, you're going to want to hear the others. My loyal listeners, my pack, you already know what we're about. Welcome home. Let's run together. Now, let me take you back to where it all started. 6 months ago, before I knew that monsters were real, before I understood that some fairy tales are actually warnings. Chapter 1: The Transformation. 6 months ago, I was Isabella Gabriel, 26 years old, interior designer with a decent apartment in downtown Portland, and absolutely no belief in the supernatural. I designed spaces for a living, clean lines, good feng shui, making rooms feel safe and welcoming. My life was logical, ordered, and honestly, a little lonely. I'd been single for 2 years after a relationship that ended badly enough that I'd stopped believing in the whole soulmate thing. That's when Promise walked into the design firm where I worked. I remember the exact moment. Tuesday afternoon, late September, I was fighting with a fabric supplier on the phone when he entered the showroom. Tall, probably 6'3", with dark hair that looked like he'd run his hands through it too many times, expensive suit that fit perfectly. But it was his eyes that stopped me mid-sentence. Amber. Not brown, not hazel, actual amber, like honey held up to sunlight. He looked at me, and I swear to God, something in my chest recognized him. Which sounds insane. I know it sounds insane. But I felt it, this pull, like my entire life had been walking toward that moment. He needed someone to redesign his home. A massive estate on the outskirts of the city, he said. Old family property he'd recently inherited. He'd been living alone for too long and wanted to make it feel less like a mausoleum and more like a home. The way he said alone made my heart hurt for him. I took the job. Professional, strictly professional, I told myself. Even when he insisted on showing me the property himself. Even when those property visits turned into dinners. Even when those dinners turned into late-night conversations where he told me about his family, his past, the weight of expectations he carried. He was careful with his words, I realize now. He never actually lied. He just omitted the parts where his family was a werewolf pack and his past stretched back 300 years. 2 months in, he kissed me. We were standing in what would become our bedroom, and I was showing him paint samples. He took the samples from my hand, set them down, and kissed me like he'd been dying to do it for years. Like he'd been waiting for me specifically. When he pulled back, he looked almost afraid. "I shouldn't have done that," he whispered. "You should run from me, Isabella. You should run far and fast and never look back." I laughed, thought he was being dramatic. "I'm not going anywhere," I told him. God, I was so stupid. Or maybe not stupid, maybe some part of me already knew. Maybe that's why I ignored every warning sign that followed. The way he disappeared during full moons, always with some business emergency. The strange calls he took in other rooms, speaking a language I didn't recognize. The scars on his body he couldn't or wouldn't explain. His absolute refusal to introduce me to his family until we were official. The panic room he insisted on installing, saying Portland had a break-in problem and he needed to know I'd be safe. 4 months after we met, he proposed. Candlelit dinner at the same restaurant where we had our first date. He got down on one knee, and I swear those amber eyes were wet with tears. "Marry me," he said. "Marry me, and let me spend whatever time we have loving you the way you deserve." Whatever time we have, I should have asked what he meant, but I was too busy crying, too busy saying yes, too busy imagining our future. The wedding was fast, 6 weeks from proposal to ceremony. He said he didn't want to wait, that he'd waited too long already. His family was small, he explained. Most couldn't make it on short notice. I didn't have much family either, raised in foster care after my parents died when I was 8, so a small wedding felt right. Intimate, just us and what mattered. The ceremony was perfect. The reception was perfect. The honeymoon, those first 48 hours, were perfect. Promise was attentive, loving, and maybe a little sad in quiet moments. I'd catch him watching me with this expression I couldn't read. Loss and love mixed together. "What are you thinking?" I'd ask. "That I don't deserve you," he'd answer. That I've been given a gift I don't know how to keep. I'd kiss him and tell him he was being ridiculous. That we had forever. Forever. What a joke. The 3rd day of our marriage, Promise started acting strange, tense, checking his phone constantly, pacing the house like a caged animal. "What's wrong?" I kept asking. "Nothing," he'd say. "Just work stress. It'll pass." That night, the night of the full moon, though I didn't make the connection yet, he barely touched his dinner, kept staring out the window at the darkening sky. At 9 p.m., he stood abruptly. "Isabella," his voice was tight, controlled. "I need you to do something for me. No questions, just trust me. I need you to go to the bedroom, lock the door, and get into the panic room." I laughed. "What? Promise, what are you talking about?" "Please." He wasn't looking at me. His hands were clenched into fists. "Please, just do it. Lock yourself in and don't come out until morning, no matter what you hear. Promise me." You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. His head snapped toward the window. I followed his gaze but saw nothing, just the full moon rising over the tree line. Promise, talk to me. What's happening? He finally looked at me, and what I saw in his eyes froze my blood. Terror, grief, and something wild, something that didn't look human. I love you, he said. I need you to know that. Everything I've done, everything I'm about to do, I love you. I've loved you across lifetimes, and I am so sorry. Sorry for what? But he was already turning away, heading for his study. Promise! I ran after him, but he'd locked the door. I pounded on it, demanded he tell me what was happening. Go to the panic room, he said through the door. His voice sounded wrong, deeper, more gravelly. Go now, please, Isabella. I am trying to give you a chance. Don't waste it. I stood there, frozen, until I heard the first sound. A crack, like bones breaking. Then another, and another, and a scream, Promise's scream, but it didn't sound like pain. It sounded like rage, like something being unleashed after being chained for too long. I should have run to the panic room. Instead, I ran upstairs, grabbed my phone, started to dial 911. That's when I heard the study door splinter. Heavy footsteps in the hall below. Not footsteps. Pause. I crept to the top of the stairs and looked down. The thing standing in the hallway wasn't my husband. It was massive, easily 7 feet tall, even on all fours. Black fur that seemed to absorb the light. Muscles rippling under its coat. Claws that gouged the hardwood floor I'd helped him pick out. And those eyes, amber eyes that I knew, that I'd kissed and gazed into and trusted. But now they looked at me like I was prey. Promise? My voice came out as a whisper. The wolf's ears swiveled toward me. Its lips pulled back, revealing fangs the length of my fingers. And then it spoke. Not words exactly, but I heard him in my head, his voice desperate and fading. Run! God, Isabella, run! The wolf lunged for the stairs. I ran, flew down the hallway to our bedroom, slammed the door, threw the lock. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely work the hidden panel that opened the panic room. Behind me, claws scraped at the door. The wood groaned. I got the panel open, fell inside the small reinforced space, and slammed the door shut just as our bedroom door exploded inward. I scrambled backward, hit the far wall of the panic room, my breath coming in gasps that didn't seem to bring any oxygen. Through the small, reinforced window in the door, I could see into the bedroom. The wolf, Promise, was standing in the wreckage of our door, sniffing the air. Those amber eyes locked onto the panic room, onto me. He approached slowly, each step deliberate. When he reached the door, he pressed his massive head against it. I could hear his breathing, could see his breath fog the small window. And then, impossibly, I heard his voice again, not in my head this time, out loud, broken, mixing with growls, but his voice. I'm sorry. So sorry, can't control, it's too strong. Isabella, I'm so sorry. What's happening? I was crying, then pressing my hand against the window like I could touch him. What are you? A long, painful howl. Then, werewolf, I'm a werewolf, and you saw, you witnessed, the law, the pack law, you have to, I have to. His words dissolved into snarls. The wolf slammed against the door, denting the reinforced steel. I screamed, fell back. He hit it again. Promise, stop. You're going to hurt yourself. But he couldn't hear me anymore, or couldn't respond. The man was gone, buried under the wolf. And the wolf wanted in. That's when I saw it. The journal. Sitting on the small shelf Promise had built into the panic room. Black leather, worn with age. My hands were shaking as I picked it up, open to the first page. Property of Promise Clifford, if you are reading this, you have seen me. You know what I am. And now you know what I have to do. I'm sorry, God, I'm so sorry. I stared at those words as the wolf, my husband, continued to attack the door that separated us, and I started to read, because if I was going to die tonight, I at least wanted to understand why. Chapter 2. Secrets in the Walls. The journal was old. Not just old, ancient. The first entry was dated 1723. My brain couldn't process that. Nobody lived 300 years. But the handwriting was promises. I'd seen it enough times on notes he left me. Love notes that were scattered around the house during our honeymoon. My dearest Isabella, the first entry read, today I watched you burn. The village called you a witch because you healed the baker's daughter with your herbs. They dragged you to the square, tied you to the stake, and set you alight while I screamed your name from the crowd. I tried to reach you. I fought through them, took a torch to the chest, but they held me back. Your eyes found mine as the flames rose. You mouthed, I love you. And then you were gone. I couldn't save you. I failed. I pressed my hand to my mouth, tears blurring the words. The wolf outside had stopped attacking the door. He was pacing now. I could hear the click of claws on hardwood. They left your body burning until dawn, the entry continued. I stayed there, on my knees, until there was nothing left but ash. That's when they came. The pack. Wolves who walked like men. They'd been watching me, they said. Watching us. They made an offer. Join them, become what they were, gain the power to ensure no one I loved would ever burn again. I accepted. God help me, I drank their blood and let them bite me, and I became this, a monster. I thought I was gaining power. I didn't understand I was accepting a curse. I flipped forward, scanning entries that spanned decades, promise writing about learning to control his transformation, about the pack laws he was bound to follow, about building a life, a fortune, an identity in a world that didn't know monsters walked among them. And then, 50 years after that first entry, I found it. I saw her today, in a market in London, same dark blonde hair, same green eyes, same smile that made my heart forget how to beat. I followed her, learned her name, Isabella. Different surname, but Isabella. It's her. It has to be her. Somehow, impossibly, she's come back to me. My hand started shaking harder. I courted her. 6 months of playing human, of pretending I was just a man who'd fallen in love. She fell too. I could see it in her eyes, that same recognition that we'd had before. Like her soul remembered me even if her mind didn't. We married in the spring, and that night, the first full moon after our wedding, she saw me transform. She screamed. I tried to explain, but the wolf was too strong. I tried to stop myself. God, I tried. But the pack law is absolute. Humans who witness our transformation must die or be turned. And she couldn't be turned. The bite didn't take. Some humans are immune. So I did what I had to do. I killed my Isabella for the second time. I dropped the journal, picked it up, kept reading because I had to know. It happened again, 30 years later. Boston. Her name was Isabella Whitmore. I tried to stay away, saw her at a distance and turned around. Tried to protect her by leaving, but she found me, approached me, said she'd been seeing me in her dreams. We married. She saw. She died. My fault. Always my fault. Entry after entry. Isabella Rousseau in Paris, 1823. Isabella Fontaine in New Orleans, 1889. Isabella Morrison in Chicago, 1957. Isabella Chen in San Francisco, 2001. 7 times. He'd found me, married me, and killed me 7 times. The pack elders say it's a curse, one entry read. This one from just 5 years ago. Punishment for trying to defy death by accepting their gift. Isabella's soul is bound to mine, returning to me lifetime after lifetime. And I'm bound to destroy her over and over because I can't control the wolf when faced with pack law. It's the cruelest magic, and to be given what I want most and forced to destroy it with my own hands. I looked up at the panic room door. The wolf was lying down now, pressed against it. I could see one amber eye through the window watching me. "Why?" I asked out loud, my voice breaking. "If you knew this would happen, why did you marry me? Why didn't you just stay away?" The wolf whimpered, and then his voice strained, fighting through. "Tried. Saw you 6 months ago. Tried to walk away. But you looked at me. Said, do I know you? Like you remembered. And I'm weak. 300 years, and I'm still weak for you. Thought maybe this time it would be different." How? How would it be different? The journal, back pages. I found something, a ritual, a way to break it. But it requires... The wolf surged forward, slamming him back from the door. Whatever control he'd had was slipping. I grabbed the journal, flipped to the back pages, found a section written in a different hand. Old English, barely readable, but I could make out enough. The curse of eternal return can only be broken by twin impossibilities. The bound one must choose death willingly at the hand of her beloved, and the beloved must refuse to kill despite all nature demanding it. Only in this perfect balance of surrender and restraint can the curse be shattered. My phone buzzed. I'd dropped it when I ran into the panic room, but I'd shoved it in my pocket. I pulled it out. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But what did I have to lose? "Hello? Mrs. Clifford, this is Nathaniel Torres. I'm your husband's second in command." His voice was smooth, professional, like he was calling about a business meeting. "I'm calling to explain your situation and offer you a choice." "A choice?" "Your husband is bound by pack law. You witnessed his transformation. That means you must either be turned, which we've determined through genetic testing we conducted during your last doctor's visit is impossible for you, or you must die. Promise is fighting the latter outcome, which is admirable but ultimately futile. The wolf will win, it always does. However, I can offer you an alternative. Come out of the panic room. Surrender yourself. I'll ensure your death is quick and painless. You'll simply fall asleep and not wake up. Much better than being torn apart by a creature who loves you but can't stop himself." "Why are you doing this?" I asked. "Isn't there another way? Can't you just let me go?" "I won't tell anyone. Who would even believe me?" Nathaniel sighed. "You're the 7th Isabella to ask me that. The answer is no. Even if we trusted you to keep silent, which we don't, there are other packs, other councils. If word spread that we allowed a human witness to live, it would be seen as weakness. We'd be challenged. People would die. Many people. Your life against hundreds. Surely you can see the mathematics of that choice. I don't care about your pack politics. Promise does. It's one of the many reasons he's been an effective alpha. He understands sacrifice for the greater good, which is why he built you that panic room. He knew this was coming. He was trying to give you time to come to terms with it, to make peace. But Isabella, and I mean this with all due respect, that room won't hold forever. He's only going to get stronger as the night progresses. By 3 a.m., he'll be able to tear through that door, and then there won't be anything quick or painless about how you die. I looked at the door. The wolf was up again, circling, that massive head swinging back and forth. How much time do I have? Until sunrise. If you can survive until then, the transformation will reverse. He'll be human again. And technically, since you'd already witnessed, the pack law would no longer apply. You'd have survived the judgment period. So I just have to make it to sunrise. That's 7 hours from now, Mrs. Clifford. 7 hours alone in that room with a creature designed to hunt, designed to kill. And he knows that room, he built it, he knows its weaknesses. The call ended. I stared at my phone, then at the journal, then at the door. Ma'am. 7 hours. I could do 7 hours. I had water in here. The toilet was in the corner. There were even some protein bars. Promise had stalked this room like he knew I'd need to survive in it. Because he had known. He'd known this would happen, and he'd tried to prepare me for it. Promise, I called out. Can you hear me? The wolf stopped pacing, turned those amber eyes on me. I read your journal. I know about the curse, about the other Isabellas, and I know about the ritual, the way to break it. A low growl, then faintly his voice. No, can't ask that of you. Won't. You're not asking, I'm offering. Tell me what I need to do. You have to die, willingly, and I have to refuse to kill you, but I can't. The wolf is too strong. I've tried for 300 years. I always fail, always kill you, can't do it again. Rather die myself. Then we find another way. We break out of here, we run, The building shook. Not from inside, from outside. I heard howls, multiple howls. The pack. They're here. Promise's voice was fading again. Making sure you don't escape. Making sure I finish this. Isabella, please, just remember I loved you. Every lifetime I loved you. The wolf backed up, then charged the door with everything he had. The reinforced steel buckled. Not much. But enough that I could see it wouldn't hold until dawn. Not if he kept that up. I needed to think. Needed to find something in this room that would help me survive. I started searching. The shelves had water, food, a first aid kit that would be useless against a werewolf. There was a ventilation shaft, but it was barely 6 inches wide. No escape there, and then I saw it. Hidden behind the first aid kit, a small door, no more than 2 feet high. I pulled the first aid kit away and found a handle, locked. But there was a keypad. I tried our anniversary, nothing. His birthday, nothing. What would Promise use for a code that he'd want me to figure out, but no one else could? I thought back to our conversations about what mattered to him. He'd told me once about a specific date. A day he said changed his life forever. I'd thought he was being romantic about the day we met, but now I understood. The day Isabella Clifford burned. I pulled out the journal, found that first entry, September 17th, 1723. I punched in 091723. The door clicked open. Behind it was a crawl space, dark, narrow. But I could see light at the far end, maybe 50 feet away, another exit, away into the rest of the house. Smart girl, I whispered to myself. He's giving me options, trying to help me even now. I looked back at the panic room door. The wolf had stopped attacking. He was sitting now, head tilted, watching me, like he knew what I'd found, like he was waiting to see what I'd choose. Stay here and hope the door held 7 more hours. Or risk the crawl space, possibly get to another part of the house, find a better defensive position, Or maybe find whatever he'd left for me at the other end. Because I was starting to understand. Promise had built all of this. The panic room, the crawl space, whatever was at the other end. This was a test he'd designed. Not for me, for himself. He was trying to create a scenario where the ritual could work, where I could willingly choose death and he could refuse to deliver it. I'm going to save us, I told the wolf. Both of us. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to break this curse, you hear me? This doesn't end like it has before. The wolf's tail moved, just slightly, not a wag exactly, but acknowledgement. I crawled into the space and started moving toward the light. Chapter 3: Dawn's Reckoning. The crawl space was tight, claustrophobic. I had to army crawl, pulling myself forward on my elbows. Dust and cobwebs caught in my hair. Behind me, I heard the panic room door finally give way. The wolf was free, and he'd figure out where I went in seconds. I crawled faster, ignoring the way the rough wood scraped my arms. The light ahead was getting brighter. Almost there. Almost. I emerged in a room I'd never seen before. Basement level by the look of it. Stone walls, no windows. And everywhere, there were photographs, paintings, sketches, all of women, all of me. Isabella Clifford in period dress, that first Isabella. Serious expression, hair up in the style of the 1700s. But her eyes, my eyes, staring out from the canvas. Isabella Whitmore in a Victorian gown. Isabella Rousseau in front of the Eiffel Tower. Each one documenting his life with me across centuries. And in the center of the room, a glass case. Inside it, a book. Leather-bound, ancient. Different from the journal upstairs. I approached it, pressed my hand against the glass. It was warm. Impossibly warm, like it was alive. On the cover, written in gold leaf, "The Curse of Eternal Return, Methods of Breaking." Above me, I heard the wolf moving through the house, hunting, sniffing, looking for my trail. I didn't have much time. I tried to lift the glass case, locked. Of course it was locked. But next to it there was a small hammer, silver, ornate, and a note in Promise's handwriting. "If you've made it this far, you're braver than any Isabella before. The glass is enchanted. Only silver can break it. The book will tell you what you need to know. But Isabella, please understand, I can't ask you to die for me. Not again. If you find another way, any other way, take it. Let me live with the curse. Just survive. Please survive." I picked up the hammer, raised it, brought it down on the glass. It shattered like ice, that warm feeling exploding outward. I grabbed the book, flipped it open. The pages were covered in that same old English, but also Latin, symbols I didn't recognize, but there were illustrations, a man and a woman, the man transforming into a wolf, the woman offering herself, and then, in the final image, both of them changed, not fully human, not fully wolf, something in between, something new. I read as fast as I could, my finger tracing the text, picking out words I understood. Willing sacrifice, true love's refusal, balance of opposites, the moment between life and death. And then, at the bottom of the page, a single sentence in English, as if someone had translated it later. She must surrender. He must choose her over duty. And in that choice, the curse recognizes true love and transforms what was broken. Transforms, not just breaks, transforms. The door to the basement slammed open. The wolf bounded down the stairs. Saw me. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. This was it. The moment the ritual required. I stood up straight, set the book down, and opened my arms. "I'm here," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "I'm not running anymore." The wolf approached slowly, each step measured. Those amber eyes were locked on mine, and I could see the war happening behind them. Man and beast, fighting for control. "Promise. I know you can hear me. I know you're in there." The wolf stopped 5 feet away, growling, saliva dripping from fangs that could tear me apart. "I read everything. I know what needs to happen, and I'm choosing it. Do you hear me? I'm choosing this." The wolf's ears flattened, a whimper. "Not because I want to die, but because I love you. I've loved you across 7 lifetimes, apparently, and I'm not stopping now. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to walk toward you, and you're going to have a choice. Kill me like the curse demands, like you've done 6 times before." Or, I took a step forward. The wolf's muscles tensed. "Or you choose me. You choose us. Over the pack, over the law, over every instinct that's screaming at you to obey. You choose love, and we break this thing together." Another step. I was within reach now, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off his massive body, close enough to see my reflection in those amber eyes. "I trust you," I whispered. "I trust you more than I trust myself. So do it. Choose me." I closed my eyes, spread my arms wider, offering myself completely. I heard the wolf draw in a breath, felt him move, the displacement of air as he lunged. And then warmth, not pain, warmth, arms, human arms, wrapping around me. I opened my eyes. Promise was there, naked, human, pulling me against his chest, tears streaming down his face. "I choose you," he gasped. "God, I choose you. I choose you over everything." The room exploded with light, not from any source I could see. It came from us, from where our bodies touched, gold and silver light swirling, lifting us off the ground. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt peace, felt whole in a way I'd never experienced. The light grew brighter, almost blinding. I heard Promise scream, but not in pain, in release, like something that had been crushing him for 300 years had finally let go, and then I felt it, the change. My bones didn't break, they reshaped. My skin didn't tear, it transformed. I felt power surge through me, ancient and new at the same time. When the light faded, we were on the floor. Promise was still holding me. But I could feel that I was different. I could hear things I shouldn't be able to hear. The pack outside, their heartbeats, their whispered conversations. I could smell the forest, the earth, blood, and magic. And when I looked down at my hands, I saw claws. Retracted, but there. "What happened?" I whispered. But I knew. I could feel it. The wolf, not his wolf, my own beast inside me, purring contentedly. "The curse broke," Promise said. His voice was full of wonder. But it didn't just break. It transformed. "You're not human anymore, Isabella. You're like me. You're a werewolf," I finished. I should have been horrified. Instead, I laughed. Actually laughed. I married a werewolf and became one myself. That's definitely not how I saw this marriage going. Promise cupped my face in his hands. "I'm so sorry. I never wanted this for you. You were human and safe and now I'm supernatural and apparently immortal like you?" I could feel it. The magic in my veins, the understanding that I wouldn't age, wouldn't die, not easily, Promise, you idiot. You beautiful, cursed idiot. Don't you see? This is what was supposed to happen all along. Every other time you were trying to save human Isabella. But I was never meant to stay human. I was meant to be your equal. Your true mate, not your victim. His eyes widened. Your equal. My equal, a new voice said. We both turned. An old man stood at the top of the basement stairs, ancient, with silver hair and eyes that glowed amber even in human form. The pack elder. 300 years we've watched you, promised Clifford. Watched you suffer under your curse. We couldn't break it for you. The magic was older than us, older than the pack. You had to break it yourselves. You knew? Promise's voice was dangerous. You knew there was a way and you never told me? Would you have believed us? Would you have been willing to risk Isabella's life on a ritual that required perfect balance? No. You had to find your own way. You had to love her enough to build her escape routes, to give her weapons, to hope she'd survive when you thought you'd fail. And she had to love you enough to offer herself despite knowing you'd killed her 6 times before. The elder descended the stairs, moving with the grace of someone far younger than he appeared. The curse was never about punishment, Promise. It was about learning. Learning that love isn't about control or protection. It's about trust, about choosing each other as equals. Every Isabella before her trusted you not to kill her. But she was the first to trust you to kill her, to step into that fear completely. And you were the first to refuse, to choose her life over pack law, over your own nature. That's what broke the curse. I stood up, suddenly very aware I was covered in dust and cobwebs and probably looked insane. So what now? I'm a werewolf. Does that mean I follow your pack laws too? The elder smiled. You're not just any werewolf, Isabella Clifford. You're the alpha female, born from a curse breaking, born from true love's transformation. That makes you something we haven't seen in centuries. You're not bound to the pack. The pack is bound to you. Outside, the howling stopped. Complete silence. Then one by one, new howls started. Different tone. Not hunting calls. Submission calls. They're acknowledging you, Promise said softly. Accepting you as alpha. I walked to the basement stairs, climbed up with Promise right behind me. The elder followed. We emerged into our living room. The front door was open. Outside, on our lawn, dozens of wolves, different colors, different sizes, all with their heads bowed. I stepped onto the porch. The full moon was setting, dawn just starting to paint the sky pink and gold. And as I watched, something in me stirred. The wolf, my wolf, she wanted out. Wanted to run with the pack. Let her out, Promise whispered beside me. Don't fight it, it doesn't hurt, not when you accept it. I closed my eyes and reached for that presence inside me. My wolf. She rose to meet me eagerly, like she'd been waiting her whole life for this moment. And maybe she had. Maybe every Isabella before me had carried this dormant, waiting for the curse to break so she could finally emerge. The transformation was nothing like what I'd witnessed with Promise. His had been violent, forced, painful. Mine was like slipping into warm water, natural, right. My body shifted and reshaped, and instead of fear, I felt joy. Pure, absolute joy. When I opened my eyes again, the world was different, sharper. I could see individual leaves on trees 100 yards away, could smell the morning dew, the pack's mixed scents, the lingering magic in the air from the curse breaking. And I was tall, taller than I'd been as a human. I looked down at massive paws, at fur that gleamed silver white in the pre-dawn light. Beautiful, Promise breathed. He'd shifted too, standing beside me in his black wolf form. But now we were the same size, equals, just like the elder had said. "You're absolutely beautiful." I turned to look at him, and something passed between us. Not words, understanding. The bond that had pulled us together across centuries, finally complete, finally unbroken. He howled, a long, clear note that echoed across the estate, and I joined him, my voice blending with his, creating a harmony that made the pack wolves on the lawn shiver with recognition. This was what alpha mates sounded like. This was what the curse had been preventing. The elder, still in human form, descended the porch steps and walked among the pack. "Witness," he called out, his voice carrying, despite not shouting. "Witness the breaking of the eternal return. Promise Clifford and Isabella Clifford, reborn through fire and choice. The old debt is paid. The curse is shattered, and a new pack era begins." The wolves erupted in howls, not threatening, celebratory. And as I stood there beside my husband, in my wolf form under the fading full moon, I finally understood. Every lifetime had led to this. Every death had been practice, teaching my soul what it needed to learn. Surrender, trust, choice. I'd had to die 6 times to learn how to truly live. "Come," Promise nudged me with his massive head. "Let's run. Let me show you what we can do together." We leaped off the porch, landing smoothly on the lawn. The pack parted for us, creating a path. And then we ran. Faster than should be possible, faster than any human could dream. Through our property, into the forest beyond. Trees blurred past. The wind felt like silk against my fur. Promise ran beside me, occasionally pulling ahead to show me the path, then falling back to run at my shoulder. We ran for hours, or maybe minutes. Time felt different in this form. Everything felt different. Better. Like I'd been living my whole life with a blindfold on and had finally taken it off. As the sun fully rose, we found ourselves at a clearing deep in the forest. A small lake reflected the pink and gold sky. Promise shifted back to human form, so I followed his lead, letting my wolf recede. It was easier than I expected, like she understood we'd have plenty of time to run together. We stood there, both naked, both covered in morning dew and completely unconcerned about it. This was natural. This was right. "I have so many questions," I finally said. My voice sounded different, stronger. "How long do we live? Can we have children? Do I have to eat raw meat now? Are all werewolves born, or can others be turned? Why couldn't the other Isabellas be turned, but I could be transformed? What?" Promise laughed and pulled me into his arms. "We have time for all of that. We have literally all the time in the world now. But Isabella, before we talk about logistics, I need to say something. If you apologize for trying to kill me one more time, I'm going to bite you." I was going to thank you. His amber eyes were serious now. "Thank you for being brave enough to read the journal, for not running away when you could have, for offering yourself when every survival instinct must have been screaming at you to hide. You saved me. After 300 years of being a monster, you made me human again. Well, human enough." "You were never a monster," I said softly. "You were cursed. There's a difference. And promise, I didn't save you, we saved each other. That's how this works, right? That's what the elder said. We chose each other as equals." He kissed me then, deep and desperate and full of 300 years of longing finally fulfilled. When we broke apart, we were both breathless. "So," I said, trying to lighten the mood because otherwise I was going to start crying. "What do alpha mates do? Do we have responsibilities? A pack to run? Please tell me there's a manual because I have no idea what I'm doing. There's no manual, but we'll figure it out together. That's the point. Everything we do now, we do together. A howl echoed from the direction of the house. Promise's head snapped up, immediately alert. What is it? The pack is calling. Something's happened. We shifted back. I was getting better at it already and ran back toward the estate. The run that had taken hours at a leisurely pace took maybe 15 minutes at full sprint. We burst into the clearing around the house to find the entire pack gathered, agitated. The elder was standing on the porch again, but this time he wasn't alone. A woman stood beside him, tall with dark red hair and eyes that glowed not amber but deep green. She was in human form, but I could sense the power rolling off her. Old power, ancient power, and she was looking directly at me. Isabella Clifford, she said. Her voice was like honey and poison mixed together. Born from a broken curse, the first of your kind in 500 years. How delightful. Promise growled beside me, positioning himself slightly in front of me, protective. Peace, Promise, the elder said. This is Morgana LeBlanc. She's an elder from the European Council. She's not here to threaten. Then why is she here? Promise's human voice was tight. Morgana smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Because when a curse as old as yours breaks, it sends ripples through the magical world. And those ripples attract attention. Attention from beings far older than your little pack. Far more dangerous. I stepped out from behind Promise, meeting Morgana's gaze. Are you saying I'm in danger? Oh, darling, Morgana's smile widened. We're all in danger now. The curse that bound you was also a seal, a lock on something that certain entities have been trying to open for centuries, and you just broke it. The clearing went silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. What did we release, I asked, though part of me didn't want to know the answer. Morgana's eyes glowed brighter. The first alpha, the father of all werewolves. He's been trapped between life and death for 1,000 years, waiting for a curse like yours to shatter and give him a doorway back. And now, thanks to your little love story, he's waking up. Promise moved to my side, taking my hand. That's impossible. The first alpha was destroyed. Every record says... Records lie, Morgana interrupted. Especially ones written by people who wanted everyone to believe the monster was gone. But he's not gone. He's been sleeping, dreaming, waiting. And the energy released when Isabella transformed, it was exactly what he needed to start clawing his way back to consciousness. So what do we do? I asked. The elder spoke up. You run. You hide. You pray he doesn't find you before we can figure out how to put him back to sleep. But Morgana laughed. Hide? From the father of all wolves? He'll smell her across continents. She's made from his power now, transformed by the oldest magic. She's like a beacon screaming her location to him. I felt Promise's hand tighten around mine. Then we fight. You can't fight him, Morgana said flatly. He's not like us. He's what we were before we learned to be civilized. Before we learned to control the beast. He's pure rage and hunger. If he reaches this world fully awakened, he'll tear through every pack, every city, every human population center, until there's nothing left but blood and ash. Then tell us what we can do, I said, surprised by the steel in my own voice. Because I didn't survive my husband trying to kill me, break a 300-year curse, and become a werewolf just to roll over for some ancient boogeyman. There has to be a way. Morgana studied me for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. There might be, but it requires something that's never been done before. Isabella, you were made from a curse breaking. That makes you unique. Neither fully born wolf nor fully made. You exist in the balance between. And the first alpha, he exists in the balance between life and death. You might be able to reach him where he sleeps, might be able to reinforce the seal before he fully wakes. How? You'd have to dream walk. Separate your consciousness from your body, travel through the veil between worlds, find him in the darkness and convince him to go back to sleep. Or destroy him there, which would kill you both since you're connected now through the magic that made you. Absolutely not, Promise said immediately. We'll find another way. But I was already shaking my head. If I don't do this, how many people die? How many packs get destroyed? All of them, Morgana said simply. If the first alpha wakes fully, it won't be a war. It'll be an extinction event, for humans and wolves alike. I looked at Promise, saw the fear in his eyes, the desperate need to protect me. But I also saw something else. Trust. He knew what I was going to say before I said it. I'll do it, I whispered. I'll try. Isabella, I have to. You know I have to. We just broke a curse about choosing each other as equals, remember? That means I get to make this choice, and I choose to protect our pack, our world, even if it's terrifying. Promise pulled me close, buried his face in my hair. I just got you back, all of you. After 300 years, I finally have you the way we were meant to be. And now I might lose you again. You won't, I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. I survived 7 lifetimes of dying. I can survive this, and promise. This time you're not watching from the crowd. This time you're right here with me. That has to count for something. Morgana cleared her throat, touching, truly. But we don't have time for long goodbyes. The first alpha grows stronger every hour. If we're going to do this, it needs to be now, tonight, at midnight, when the veil is thinnest. That's only... I checked the sun's position. 16 hours from now. Then I suggest you spend those hours preparing. Learn everything you can about your new abilities, because in the dream realm, you'll need every advantage you can get. The elder stepped forward. The pack will help. We'll teach you what we know. And Isabella, the fact that you're willing to do this, willing to face the first alpha to protect wolves you've known for less than a day, that's what makes you a true alpha, not the power, the choice. I looked around at the assembled pack. Dozens of wolves, all looking at me with something I hadn't expected. Hope. They were hoping I could do this, hoping I could save them. No pressure or anything. All right, I said, squaring my shoulders. 16 hours to learn how to be a werewolf and save the world. Let's get started. The day passed in a blur of training. The pack members took turns teaching me how to shift faster, how to use my enhanced senses, how to draw on the pack's collective strength through our bonds. Promise never left my side, guiding me, supporting me, pushing me when I wanted to quit. By the time midnight approached, I was exhausted but also exhilarated. I'd learned more about myself in 16 hours than I had in 26 years of human life. And I'd learned something else too. The pack wasn't just a group of werewolves, they were a family. And they'd accepted me as one of their own, without question. As we gathered in the clearing at 11:45 p.m., Morgana prepared the ritual circle. Salt and herbs and symbols I didn't recognize. The elder explained what would happen. I'd lie in the center of the circle, They'd use magic to separate my consciousness from my body. I'd travel through the veil, find the first alpha in his prison, and either convince him to stay asleep or destroy him before he could wake fully. Simple, except for the part where if I failed, the world ended. Or the part where if I succeeded by destroying him, I'd die too. Or the part where I had no idea what I was doing and was running entirely on hope and stubbornness. Last chance to back out, Morgana said as I stepped into the circle. Not a chance, I replied. Promise kissed me one more time. Come back to me. Always, I promised. I lay down in the center of the circle. The pack formed a ring around us, adding their energy to the ritual. Morgana began to chant in a language I didn't know. The elder joined her. Then promise. Then, one by one, the entire pack. The sound was haunting, beautiful and terrible at once. I felt my body growing heavy, my consciousness starting to float. The stars above seemed to multiply, then swirl, then... I was falling, or flying, or both. The world dissolved around me, replaced by darkness. But not empty darkness. This darkness was full of whispers, of movement, of things that watched with too many eyes. And somewhere in the distance, I felt him. The first alpha, old, powerful, hungry, and waking up. I moved toward that presence, my wolf form coalescing around my spirit. If I was going to face the father of all werewolves, I'd do it as what I was. Alpha. Mate. Survivor. The darkness parted, and I saw him, chained with light that was failing, growing dimmer by the second. He was massive, even in this dream space. Black fur shot through with silver, eyes that burned not amber but white hot. And when those eyes found me, he smiled. Little Alpha, his voice echoed through the void. Come to keep me company in my prison, or did you come to set me free? Neither, I said, surprised my voice didn't shake. I came to send you back to sleep. He laughed. The sound shook the foundations of the dream realm. You, a wolf born yesterday from a broken curse? You think you can stop me? I don't have to stop you, I said, finally understanding. I just have to remind you why you chose to sleep in the first place. His laughter stopped. What did you say? The curse that made me wasn't just a seal on your prison. It was the seal, placed 300 years ago by someone who loved you enough to trap themselves in an eternal cycle of death just to keep you contained. Someone who understood that you needed rest, not freedom. Someone who knew that if you woke, you'd destroy everything you'd helped create. I was guessing, operating entirely on instinct, but I could feel the truth of it resonating through the dream space. Isabella, the first alpha whispered. My Isabella, she did this. She bound herself to promise, bound her soul to return lifetime after lifetime, using their love as a lock on your prison, because she knew you, knew that the rage consuming you would fade if you just had time, if you just had rest. She trapped me. His voice was broken now. She trapped me here alone for centuries. She gave you time to heal, I corrected. Time for the madness to fade, time for the bloodlust to dim. And now, 300 years later, I'm here. The curse is broken, the lock is open. But you have a choice. Wake up and burn the world in your rage, or choose to sleep a little longer. Choose to trust that when you do wake, it'll be in a world that's ready for you. A world that needs the wisdom of the first alpha, not his fury. The chains binding him flickered. One more hour, maybe less, and they'd fail completely. Why should I trust you, he asked. Because I'm what came from breaking the curse. I'm proof that love is stronger than magic, That choice matters more than fate. And because deep down, you don't want to destroy what your children built. You want to see it, to guide it, to be proud of it. But you can't do that if you tear it all down the moment you wake. Silence, long and heavy. Then slowly the first alpha closed his eyes. Tell Promise Clifford he chose well. Tell him the first alpha approves of his mate. And tell him... The chains flared brighter, reforging themselves. Tell him I'll sleep for now. But when I wake again in another 100 years or another 1,000, I expect to see a world worth waking to. We'll make sure it is, I promised. And little Alpha, thank you for reminding me of her, of my Isabella, the first one, the one who loved me enough to bind her soul for eternity just to give me peace. The darkness rushed up to meet me, and I was falling again, being pulled back to my body. The last thing I heard was his voice fading into the void. Guard that love, little wolf. Guard it with everything you have, because love like that, love that breaks curses and seals monsters, that's the rarest magic of all. I gasped and sat up in the ritual circle. The pack was still chanting, but Morgana was staring at me with wide eyes. Did you... He's asleep, I said. The seals restored, stronger than before. We're safe. The pack erupted in howls of relief and celebration. Promise pulled me out of the circle and into his arms, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. You did it, he kept saying. You actually did it. We did it, I corrected. Your first wife, she created the curse in the first place, to protect everyone from the first alpha's rage. We just finished what she started. Morgana approached us, and for the first time since I'd met her, she looked impressed. You didn't destroy him. You gave him a reason to stay asleep. That's not what I expected. Because destroying him would have been the easy choice, the violent choice. But we just spent 300 years learning that violence doesn't solve everything. Love does. Choice does. The elder placed a hand on my shoulder. You'll make a fine alpha, Isabella Clifford. As the sun rose on our second dawn together, Promise and I stood on our porch, watching the pack celebrate in the clearing. My hair was still matted with salt and herbs from the ritual. My body ached from the training and the magic, but I'd never felt more alive. So, Promise said eventually, any regrets about the wedding, the whole husband trying to kill you thing, becoming a werewolf, nearly dying in the dream realm to stop an ancient evil? I pretended to think about it. Well, I did have my heart set on a normal marriage, arguments about whose turn it is to do the dishes, whose parents were visiting for the holidays, whether to get a cat or a dog. We could still get a cat, Promise offered, though it might be weird, given the whole wolf thing. I laughed and leaned into him. You know what? I think I'm good with weird. Weird is definitely better than boring. I love you, he said softly. Every version of you, every lifetime. But this you, this strong, brave, ridiculous woman who decided to save the world less than 24 hours after becoming a werewolf, this is my favorite Isabella. Good, I said, because this Isabella isn't going anywhere. We're stuck with each other now, for the next 300 years at least. At least, he agreed. And as we stood there watching our pack celebrate, watching the sun paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, I realized something. My story with Promise hadn't started 48 hours ago at our wedding. It had started 300 years ago with a woman who loved him enough to bind herself to him for eternity. And it wouldn't end anytime soon. This was just the beginning of forever. And yeah, My husband was still a werewolf, but now, so was I. And somehow, that made everything perfect. Epilogue. 3 months later, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the collar of my jacket. The pack meeting was in an hour, and as alpha female, I needed to look the part. Behind me, Promise wrapped his arms around my waist, resting his chin on my shoulder. "Nervous?" he asked. "Terrified," I admitted. Running a pack is way harder than interior design. At least with design, the furniture doesn't argue with you about territory disputes. He laughed. "You're doing great. The pack loves you." The pack tolerates me because I saved them from an ancient werewolf apocalypse. That's not the same thing. "The pack loves you," he repeated firmly, "because you're exactly what we needed. Someone who sees solutions where we see problems. Someone who chooses understanding over violence. Someone who makes the rest of us want to be better." I turned in his arms, meeting those amber eyes that had haunted me across lifetimes. You know what the weird part is? What? I'm happy, like genuinely, impossibly happy. 3 months ago, I thought my life was missing something, and it was. It was missing this, all of this, the chaos, the danger, the supernatural family I didn't know I needed. You. "We've got time to figure it all out," Promise said. "Decades, centuries, forever." "Forever," I echoed. "Yeah, I think I can work with that." A howl echoed from outside. The pack was gathering. Time to be alpha, time to lead, time to navigate the complicated, dangerous, absolutely insane world of werewolf politics. But as Promise and I headed downstairs hand in hand, I couldn't help but smile. Because yeah, my husband was a monster who'd tried to kill me, but I was a monster now too, and together we were unstoppable. Besides, normal was overrated anyway. The end. Thank you for running with us tonight. If you stayed until the very end, if you felt every moment of Isabella and Promise's impossible love story, I hope you'll share this tale with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling me what you thought about the twist, about the first alpha, about Isabella becoming the very thing she feared. I read every single one. And if you haven't already, that subscribe button is waiting for you. We've got more stories like this, more impossible romances, and supernatural secrets, dropping all the time. This is just the beginning of our pack. Welcome to the family. Until next time, remember, love is the rarest magic of all, even when it comes with fangs.